Welcome to Kanpai Planet. I'm Mac, coming to you from Aloha Whiskey Bar, and today we're taking a journey to the birthplace of sake. Nara is a former capital of Japan and is famous internationally for the world's largest bronze statue of the Buddha Vairocana and the bowing deer of Nara Park. Domestically, it's also famous for its sake, and that's something that it deserves overseas recognition for too. Nara is believed to be the birthplace of Japanese sake. Jiboshu, temple sake, was brewed by monks who had both the resources and the knowledge needed to make it. A combination of great water, high quality rice, and breweries with history and pedigree make this a sake region well worth exploring. So I'm about to do just that and taste test 5 sake from Nara Prefecture. All these sake are available from Momotaro, an online Narasake retailer, and a big thank you to them for sending me these bottles. Interestingly, all the sake that I have in front of me today are Junmai, which means no brewer's alcohol has been added. Now, normally I do like to focus on the technicalities of the drinks. I'm going to do that a little bit today where it's relevant to the taste profile, but really I'm going to focus on the experience and the stories behind these amazing drinks. First up is this Yamahai Tokubetsu Junmai from Okura Honke. Okura Honke were founded in 1896 as Katsuji Okura Shoten in Kashiba City at the foot of sacred Mount Nijo. They use the very common Sokujo Moto fermentation starter method for their Ginjo sake, but everything else is made using the Yamahai Moto method. Yamahai is a method of making the shubo or moto, the fermentation starter, i.e. the mother of sake, using ambient lactic bacteria. These bacteria help create the environment that the yeast needs to thrive. Not only is this a Yamahai, but this is also Muroka, meaning not charcoal fined, Nama, meaning unpasteurized, and Genshu, meaning undiluted. Water has not been added post-pressing. I'm expecting gaminess, acidity, sweetness, umami, and quite a punch given the Muroka Nama Genshu delivery mechanism. Let's check it out. Ooh. First up on the nose there, you've got some pretty characteristic Yamahai notes. So mushroom, cream cheese, all encased in a decent amount of steamed rice. Kanpai. Ooh, there is lots of umami packed in this liquid. There's a medium-high acidity here that's causing a reasonable amount of mouth-watering. However, it's pretty sweet, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that this has been made using the Yondan Jikomi method, where a 4th addition is added to the tank, and that addition is all koji, so that is sometimes done to sweeten the sake. I'm getting some of the notes I found on the nose, that mushroom and cream cheese, also this really interesting soba noodle note, and a bit of sourness there as well. The finish is long. This is almost the exact opposite of a kire, that short, sharp finish that you find in a lot of sake sold overseas. And all those flavors really linger in the mouth. It's beautiful stuff. So, what's the verdict? Well, you do see sake nerds gravitating towards styles like Yamahai, looking for bolder flavors than in a typical Daiginjo, and this really delivers those. But that profile is polarizing. The brewery themselves say that they wanted to make a sake that would appeal to 10 to 20% of people rather than one that would be loved by everyone. In Japan, this cost 1,485 yen, which for reference in US dollar terms is about $11.40. In Singapore, this costs 72 Sing dollars. The fact that this is Nama unpasteurized makes it difficult to sell overseas. A shame, because this is one of the best Yamahai I've ever had. Next up is the Junmai Ginjo Ikaruga no Sato. Chiyo Shuzo is a small brewery founded in 1873 which moved to its present location in the southwestern part of the Nara Basin in 1902. They release a number of small-scale brands sought after for both their quality and their limited availability. The current Toji, Tetsuya Sakai, started his career in the wine industry, then married into the family who own Chiyo Shuzo. Sakai-san is an experimenter playing with temperatures and yeasts and rice strains, and he makes a surprisingly large number of styles for a brewery of this size. This particular sake was created when Sugimoto-san, the owner of Momotaro, asked Sakai-san to make a sake to celebrate the anniversary of the registration of Horyuji Temple as a World Heritage Site in 1993. In Japan, it's 1,570 yen, and in Singapore, it's 72 Singaporean dollars. On the nose. That is classic Junmai there. Lots of rice, steamed rice, rice pudding, other things that smell of rice. Behind that, there are some classic Ginjo aromas, so very fruity, some strawberry and some melon. On the palate, this is an interesting one. There's this delicacy. It's very gentle, but also some very deep, rich flavour. For example, some caramel. Yes, you can square that circle. But then the finish is very short and very clean, which is quite surprising given the flavour profile on the palate. I think this would pair very well with food. It's easy to drink, but has a real complexity there. And I think heating this up would actually bring out some of those deeper, earthier notes and let them shine. I'm loving that clean finish, despite what came before it on the nose and the palate. Definitely one I'm going to keep drinking for a lot longer. Next up is the Ikoma Junmai Ginjo from Kikutsukasa Brewery. Established in 1705, Kikutsukasa Brewery still operates in a very traditional fashion. They specialize in making karakuchi, i.e. dry sake. And to press their sake, they use the more traditional methods of fukuro shibori or a fune press. The name of this sake, Ikoma, comes from the Ikoma shrine in Ikoma city. For this sake, they're using Suiryu hakaze rice, which is Nara's only sake-specific rice. It costs 1,430 yen in Japan. In Singapore, it's 72 Singaporean dollars. The nose here is actually similar to the Ikaruga nosato. Quite interesting. Very, very aromatic. Again, classic Junmai notes coupled with some Ginjo fruitiness. Kanpai. Okay, that's an interesting one there. Rich, but also crisp as well. I'm getting some green apple, also getting some pear, specifically nashi, the Japanese pear, and I'm also getting some watermelon. It's quite dry, but that dryness does not detract from the complexity of the flavour. And because of that shorter finish, again, this would pair very well with food. Overall, this is a surprisingly easy drinking experience and one of the more interesting Ginjos that I've tried. There's lots going on here that I wouldn't have expected, but it all comes together nicely. Moving on to the Miyakohime Daibutsu Junmai. This sake comes from Masuda Shuzo, who were founded in 1625. The name of the sake represents Princess Miyako, the mother of Emperor Shomu, who built the Great Buddha of Nara. The picture of the Great Buddha on the label was made by the 8-year-old grandson of the 19th head of the brewery. This one is a Junmai made from Hitomebora rice from Nara Prefecture. It's a table rice whose name means love at first sight in Japanese, and it's gone on to become the second most popular rice in Japan due to its frequent use in sushi and curry. In Japan, this costs only 1,100 yen, which is about $8.35, and in Singapore, it costs 70 Singaporean dollars. As a Junmai with a high polishing ratio, 70% in this case, this is expressing in classic fashion with notes of steamed rice and malt. But there is also a lovely sweetness here, bringing with it notes of caramel and toffee. Ooh. Ooh. This has a lot of umami here, and it's very, very refreshing. I really just want to keep going back to it. Hang on. Oh, that is lovely. Basically, an almost exact translation of what you get on the nose onto the palate. So, no surprises. It does exactly what it says on the tin. The finish is medium length, and all of that leads to a very mellow, very balanced sake that is very sessionable. You can pair this with food, or you can just keep drinking it and enjoying it by itself. Kanpai. Last but not least, it's the Suiryu Tokubetsu Junmai from Kubo honke. This comes in Japan at 1,485 yen. In Singapore, it's 72 Singaporean dollars. Kubo honke sake brewery is located in Uda town, and they've been brewing sake there since 1702. That was the year that Kanbe Kubo moved from Yoshino to Uda and started a sake brewery. Uda has abundant water, a large temperature difference between day and night, and a great rice harvest. On the nose. Ooh, that is lively. Not overly pronounced, but yeah, a lot of agitation, and it's quite sweet. Kanpai. Ooh. Wow. Where to begin on this one? Quite a soft mouthfeel, a lot of umami, a little bit of spice, which is quite interesting, but overall works amazingly well together and is super drinkable. This one has a really interesting sourdough note, and again, notes of Japanese fruits, Fuji apple and the Japanese pears, as well as a little bit of sweetness expressing itself in the form of Japanese orange, mikan or satsuma. And a little nod to long-term fans of Kanpai Planet, there is definitely a note of creme brulee. With this Tokubetsu Junmai, you've got a really flavorful finish. That spice I identified on the palate, creating this kind of tingling on the tongue, and the umami that is there just makes me want to keep going back to this again and again. I can imagine this one paired with all sorts of food, as well as hot or cold as it is now. It's fantastic. And that was a lot of fun. So which one was my favorite? Well, a lot would actually depend on my mood on the day and what perhaps I was pairing this sake with. But I do think that I seem to have saved the best for last. This Suiryu Tokubetsu Junmai is devastatingly good. So that's a wrap on our journey through Narasake. I hope you get to try some of these absolutely fantastic beverages. Momotaro have actually created a brand logo mark for Narasake. The logo is a combination of those world famous Nara deer and a tokuri sake jug. Sake ordered from Momotaro is likely to bear this logo. Please check the URLs in the video description below to order these bottles and more from Momotaro. Thank you for joining me on this amazing journey to the birthplace of Japanese sake. Until next time, kanpai.